Hello, I'm Greg Hrutkay of Hrutkay Mods, and I look like I'm trying to control the Starship Enterprise. And if you don't get that reference, you need to look into the history of the G4 Cube. But anyway, today's episode will be looking through these two cubes here, which I just got for just a few $100 for both of them together. And it's a pretty sweet deal. We're going to see if they work, so let's get to it. Alright, so real quick, I apologize if you were misled by the 4 cubes that were here. 2 of those I've already had. One of them was my dual core that I custom built and did a video on it in the Power PC series. And the other one was the one that I got in the mail untested that was in my second short I ever uploaded. But these 2 are special. I got these together, and there's an interesting backstory from it. I actually got these from a man named Kevin Lenane. I believe it's Lenane. Not really sure. He never told me his last name. But I think that's how you pronounce his last name. So Kevin was actually recently featured on Netflix on the King of Collectibles, the Golden Experience or something like that. Can't remember exactly what the show's called. It literally just premiered recently. This year, and he was from episode 2 of the first season, and he was the Apple I guy. These are from his collection, so if you've ever seen that show, this is where that's from. And if you haven't and you have Netflix, go check it out. It's an interesting episode for sure. But he was on Facebook Marketplace in a few of the vintage Mac groups I was in, and he posted all 3 cubes that he hadn't tested yet, which means these may or may not work. That's why we're testing them now. But he posted 3 of them for just a few $100, and I bought them the second it popped up. I saw it, I'm like, I see something in there that I want now. So I bought them instantly. And he canceled the transaction because he'd never sold on Facebook before. And when he saw someone immediately buy it and pay for it, he thought it was a scam. So I messaged him. We chatted for a while. And he had explained that he actually ended up already selling one of them. Luckily, it was the one that I wasn't actually interested in. I was actually interested in this one right here, which he still had. And we worked out a deal where I got a nice discount, and I still got 2 of the 3 cubes. And there's something special about this one. But we're going to test both of them. They've been untested according to him, and I believe him. I mean, he's a collector, and they're cubes. Their power supplies are a pain to get a hold of, and I'm sure he's also kind of not wanting to mess up his only power supply because, well, you know how they can be if you know anything about cubes. So in today's video, we'll be looking through these 2, making sure they both work. I see some issues with both of them. This one is going to be, this one actually is the one I wanted. But this case is in really bad shape. It's cracked all through and has chips missing out of it, where this case is almost perfect, but is missing at least 1 screw right here. Other than that, this case looks really good. This is in better shape than my second cube I bought. So yeah, and this is probably going to be the one we put this into this in, because this is the more valuable one. And let's explain why. This one doesn't have a video card in it. We'll have to fix that before we can test it. But this one gotta love cubes. There we go. This one has one of the rarest cube video cards ever made in it. This is the GeForce 3, the most powerful GeForce 3, well, GeForce card you can get for a cube that fits, that is OS 9 compatible. And this is the specific GeForce 3 that only fits in cubes with the cube fan and all that stuff. You could fit the other ones in it, which are also impossible to find, but they won't cool right because you need a fan in this small case. This card is worth a lot of money, and this card is worth more than this cube probably is. And I'm hoping it works. This is my gamble I took on everything to see if this one would work. So what we're going to do is test the other one first and leave you in suspense. Yeah, I know, cruel, huh? But I mean, you got the skip feature too. So let's get to it. So first off, we need to check out the insides and check out the condition of everything to make sure I don't blow a hole through all my power supplies. So we're going to open both of them and take a look and see what we can see here. This one, of course, has no video card in it. Power board looks okay. It's got no RAM in it. It's got a slimline hard drive, which is probably not original in it. It's got an optical drive, which looks like it may work. It's missing the shield, and it's got no airport card. But I think this one, if we put a RAM stick in it and plug it into the power with a video card, I think that one might be all right. But the one with the big ticket money here, has RAM in it already. VRM looks like it might be okay. It's also got a slimline hard drive in it. It's probably a single platter hard drive. Right. It might be the original one, huh? Who knows? Now, this one's got the shield still in it. This one I think will work immediately. So let's make the other one work first. Okay, so I had to modify a gigabit Ethernet RAID 128 card because I don't have any extra cube cards currently. The only one I have that I haven't built for a cube doesn't fit yet until I get the VRM upgraded. Long story on that. But we've modified this one. This should work. I want to use an ADC display, even though it won't show the full resolution with this card. This should work. Also got 3 128 sticks here, which we'll be using for the RAM here. I pulled those out of a Quicksilver. So we will pull this thing over here and put that to the side. Lay that here, and we'll start populating it. All right, if we're lucky, that is literally the only thing it needs to make it work. All right, so here's the first power-up of the one that is basically a part system. Let's see if it actually does something. There we go. I hear a bong. It's really quiet, but it's probably just on low. Screen kicked on. It's booting into some OS. We'll see which one it is. So we at least know it's working for now. See if it actually shows something. Yeah, that's a promising sight there, but hey, the good news is it powers on. We'll try to boot into this one more time. If it doesn't boot, I've got the original restore discs. So, see if it boots this time. If it doesn't, either it's having a RAM problem, something's been knocked loose, or it's just a corrupted install. My screen went black. It's a growing trend with a lot of G4s I have. It's still on. That is a single user mode, it looks like. Weird. Let's see what it does this time. I'll start opening this just in case. Install disk. We also have the hardware test. It went into single user mode again, it looks like. Let's just put the disk in and see what happens. Now I gotta remember which way the disk goes in. I think it goes like that, but I don't remember. It's been a while since I've put one in here, and I don't even know if this drive works. It may eat my disk. Let's take that gamble, I guess. I might understand now why this was probably a part system. It won't shut off now. Really? Oh boy. Yep, that probably hit the disk. It doesn't sound good. I don't think it pulled the disk all the way in. Okay. That's not a good sign. So now I'm going to have to fish the disk out, but let's see if we can at least force it into the drive. Hey, it's booting again. Hard drive doesn't sound healthy. It's back in the single user mode. Optical drive definitely doesn't work. Great. Oh, it's actually booting again. And it went into single user mode again. What the hell? I don't know what's wrong with it. I don't think there's any keys stuck on this keyboard. I mean, there's a possibility. You know what? One last idea. Let's just unplug the keyboard for now. Might have a stuck key. It's been a while since I've used this one. And it stopped responding again. Yeah, I'm starting to see why this is a part system. Ooh, that disk drive. So I'm starting to think it was the keyboard. Boy, I wish I didn't put that disk in there now. It's still booting. Let's let it boot. So I'm going to target disk mode this thing. It's not going to boot. I'm pretty sure the hard drive's at least corrupted. So we'll come back to this in a second. I just finished pulling this whole thing apart just to get the recovery disk back out of it, so I can finally put it back in the sleeve. We've got a target disk mode system in the back, and we're about to turn it on and try to get it to boot into something. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say there is a reason why I figure this was a part system. It won't even boot into a target disk mode. Then again, this is still that keyboard that was causing problems. Let's try it one more time. Well, I'm calling it for tonight for this one. Let's actually test the one I wanted to test in the first place, because I'm really excited to try this one out. And, well, the other one I knew was probably going to be a troublemaker. And so far it is, but it's a semi-working parts system at least. And that will probably be combined to one really nice one when I'm done. But for now, let's hook up the other one. Well, here's the moment of truth one. We'll see what happens. Card fan is very bad. It bonged. Oh, that noise. Oh, that's not a good sign. Well, why is it doing that? Well, it's a good sign. It's booting into, looks like Tiger. Card definitely probably needs some work done to it. But so far, so good. It's got a fresh install of Tiger on it. So about this Mac, it's got a 450 megahertz PowerPC G4 in it. Case says 500, so something's been swapped out at some point. The card fan has quieted down some. This isn't a huge loss. A 450 still, it's the low-end cube, but still. It did say it was a 500, but like I said, it was never tested. And this seems to be put together with a bunch of different cubes, from what I can tell, so it's not surprising. Memory is a really weird amount, 448 megs. A 64, 128, and a 256, that's different. But this is where all the money is, the GeForce 3. Which is a big, huge win here. We'll zoom you in here. GeForce 3. That is cool. Now, it doesn't sound super happy, but it is working. That's what ATA says right now. It's a 128 gig slimline. Single platter, I'm assuming, hard drive. It's weird. Editor's note here, I looked up that hard drive right there, and it's a 160 gigabyte Barracuda drive. And the IDE controller supports up to 128 gigs due to the addressing issues and stuff. So that might explain why the other system doesn't boot if it's the same hard drive. It may not be formatted correctly, and it doesn't know what to do with the drive. And even doing target disk mode, it might be freaking something out. So that might be something interesting to come back to in the future. I've got an idea maybe. I'll be right back. So I'm calling this a win. We booted this into my target disk mode system into Leopard. And I mean, it's running. And it's running fairly decently. There are some problems. When it boots up, it artifacts for a split second, which is making me think the card's not happy. I think it's still a salvageable card. I think it will work fine. I'm actually very happy it's working as well as it is right now, but it does need some work. Probably have to pull the heatsink off, repaste it, make it work properly. But I think it's actually going to be a good system and a good card. And if worst comes to worst, I can always just send it off to Colin Holland can refresh the card, make it work perfectly. I'd want to run a few programs on this and test everything, but this target disk mode system doesn't have my test suite on it, and I can't remember which Mac does, and I don't feel like hooking one of those up. So, yeah, thank you, Kevin, for this cube and the other cube that's over there that, well, I can't shoot because it's in the floor right now. But thank you. These are great. The one's going to be a great part system for this one. And this one I'm going to make it look very pretty, make it work very well. And I'm pretty happy with the results. So let's wrap up the video. Well, in the end, 1 out of 2 cubes isn't all that bad. The other one I think I could actually make work, but it would take a lot of work. And honestly, I do need one part system to get the other 3 working perfectly, although this one seems to work pretty good, so I can just swap the case on it. The other 2 are in still really good shape, so if I ever need more parts, I mean, I've got parts, which, you know, in the end, for just a few $100s, I think it was a great deal to get 2 of them. And even if one of them didn't work, it powers on, which means everything that is in it works. Just something, it might be the RAM I put in it. I don't know what it could be. But I think I'm pretty happy with the end result, because I got a GeForce 3 finally, which will probably need some work. But, I mean, in the end, it's still a big win, and that just went to sleep because I hit the power button. There we go. But anyway, so yeah, that's the end of today's video. I'm very happy with the end result because I finally got me a GeForce 3, and I got 2 cubes out the deal also, which is awesome. Thank you again, Kevin. And yeah, there's not much else to say. Don't forget, guys, I do have a Patreon now. If you'd like to support me, there'll be a link at the end of the video and also in the description below. Also, I now have channel memberships down here. Just hit that join button, and you can see a bunch of neat behind-the-scenes stuff also. So, yeah, that would help me out if you'd like to support me. But, you know, this has been a Hrutkay Mods video, and I'll check you guys out later. See ya. I have repasted the card and lubricated the fan. Let's see what happens. Nice and quiet now. I think the reason why I was artifacting is because it was overheating. When I opened it, the heat sink, I swear, it was glowing. And now it's ice cold. So, it's dissipating heat properly now, I guess. Won't really know until we get a load on it, but I think we're good now. Ding, 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 no more artifacting. I believe we fixed it. It was indeed overheating, so we're good, guys. Now I can start experimenting with this card and playing around with these cubes. Awesome.